I mean, these stories just keep on coming up.
Yeah, I've been really finding myself in a weird place because of the last couple of days. I wanted to lash out on social media, but I just didn't want to be somebody to be that rah rah rah. You gotta stop, and then go back tomorrow to the same old shit.
Yep.
And I think Will Smith, and I think that's what they said. I think Will said it the best. Racism has always existed. It's just being filmed right now.
Yeah.
But the reality is that no matter what time in our history and in history in general that injustices have been addressed, it happened when all colors got together. The Civil War was the North, obviously, against the South, all colors, right? The civil rights, you saw all colors banding together, holding hands, saying this is wrong.
All of
apartheid,
yep.
The same thing. And Desmond Tutu has.
No, go ahead.
Desmond Tutu has a saying that if you see an injustice, and I don't know exactly, and you play neutral, then you're on the side of the oppressor, right? But we can't do this ourselves, and we can't just run around screaming, right? So how do we band together with those whose forefathers have helped us fight this injustice and come up with policies and things like that? I don't have the answer. It's a little above my pay grade. We had a president who was the same color of ours, and I know that he must have tried to address it, but this has got to be done on a roots level, independently, with each person who is a legislative person in your community, and there's got to be some kind of laws, but I don't have the answer, and I feel powerless by not having the answer.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I think one of the things that you said is that it's going to take everybody to band together in order for real change to be made. And that's just not black people. That's going to take every single ethnicity. All Americans should be outraged by the things that are happening in this country. And it's going to take all of us getting together, in order.
No, 100%. I mean, you look at these kids who are being, but I think that what I do and you do and a lot of great inspirational people here, and I'm not talking about color. I'm talking about gender, religious, whatever the case is, when we got to find a way to get together, because, before you could use the excuse, well, I never saw that happening and I can't believe it. Now, unfortunately, I'm so sad, we're getting numb to seeing it happening. We're getting numb to seeing men of color being killed.
Yep.
Right? And that is sad, right? I think also, people used to say, well, that person was a bad person. I don't know about you, TJ, but I was at the end of an officer's, the barrel of an officer's gun 3 times in my life when I was a kid, and I was not doing anything bad. I was just a little kid with some T-shirts and big dreams, and God was on my side those days. And if those guys would have got out of hand like they've done to many of us, then I wouldn't be able to be here to hopefully inspire people and invest in other people's dreams and be an example of what hopefully a good father or a good person dedicated to their faith is. So the people of other colors seeing that, they can't no longer use excuses and saying, yo, that guy must have been doing something wrong, or those people.
It takes time to grow into your maturity and to grow into who you can be as a man. If we would have lost, if we wouldn't have had Jay-Z, right? The Jay-Z now is a different Jay-Z from the Jay-Z 20 years ago, right? The things that he's able 100%. To do with the criminal justice system and help you, like it's 2 completely different men. It takes time to matriculate through life and have those experiences in order to make that change, in order to give back.
But one of these things, TJ, I know it's going to be a sensitive topic that we have to talk about, is we have to also control and police our own community and our own communication. I mean, we got to be honest about that. Like, you can see in other religions or ethnic groups, they don't allow their artists or people to say certain things about their ethnic group, whatever their color is.
Yep.
Right? They don't allow that. It's not right, and it shouldn't be done. If we allow and we reward, and I understand this is a systematic situation of generations of systematic ways of destroying us, but we allow and reward people for saying nigger and bitch and shoot this motherfucker, if another culture doesn't understand us and they got to walk up to a car and the car is smoky and all they hear is all they hear is generally their inside of us saying, "We'll shoot a motherfucker, kill a motherfucker, shoot a motherfucker, kill a motherfucker," and you have not had experience with those people, you're nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? They were purely, on this dude, right, for them. But how many times did somebody who don't know our type of world walk up to a car and they're scared because all they've been trained mentally because they grew up in a different area?
Yeah.
So we got to be very careful about that too. And I don't want to get too religious and preachy, but we shouldn't be out there also making it sound fly to disrespect females, women of color, or any female, period. These are the mothers of the community, and yet you calling this girl a bitch, but yet you want somebody else to respect her? So we gotta take a little bit of responsibility too. You know what I mean?
I've spent this morning thinking about that point, right? There was another guy, I forgot his name, some actor that put out the whole, how can we get upset with police officers when there's so much black on black crime in the community, right? And before getting into like the whole socioeconomic issue and dating it back to slavery and dating it back to our resources and dating it back to all those things, I just think that when you and I are both dog people, right? There's a difference between our dogs getting in a fight with another dog and a person hurting a dog, right?
Yes.
Two different things. Us as humans are supposed to be here to protect the dogs. Us as humans are supposed to lead by example and help the dogs, right? If a dog and another dog are fighting, that's because their mindset is in a different place. It might be a bone, it might be something, but it's only based off of their experiences, right? So when you have law enforcement that's coming into a neighborhood and they're supposed to be helping us, they're supposed to be leading by example, right? And I'm not comparing us to dogs, but that's how they treat us in a lot of times. It's not the same for me to do the black on black crime comparison against the police on black people comparison.
I totally agree with you. And you know what? Maybe I should start after this looking at some stats and facts of where there are more men and women of color in enforcement, and then what is the rate of these issues there. So maybe we should start looking at Atlanta, and maybe we should bring some of these things to say hire more people of the community.
People commit crimes where they live. Like that is most criminals. I mean, most people that commit crimes in their neighborhood. When there's a lack of resources, when there's a lack of good food, when there's a lack of education, when there's a lack of, community centers for kids to grow up in, when there's a lack of all those things, and there's drugs in, like there's going to be more violence. So we need officers to step in and help, not to hurt, not to put the knee on the neck. And it's just crazy to me that if I were to hurt a dog right now on camera, the world would go crazy. They would be like, oh my God, he's an animal abuser. PETA would be at my door, the whole thing. But they don't give that sort of respect and appreciation to our people. And that's what really bothers me, man.
Then you see how, and there are people that have systematic situations going on like that, because what happens is you would hope that you would want to hire people within that community, but if you try to get them, as many of them processed early in life, so they're not eligible to be in law enforcement, right? That's what happens. So there's the systematic part of it, right? Also the systematic part, and not necessarily systematic part, but if you're in your community, you got to start voting and saying, I don't want the liquor store cannot be here. The gun shop cannot be here. You gotta fight for those things, because we are people of color and we are fighting systematic issues. We are fighting just natural things. If somebody doesn't relate because they don't know you, and we're talking about education as well. And you and I can talk like till we're blue in the face. I feel so helpless when we talk about this situation, because it's just what it is. But yet, now, but on the flip side, person of another color goes and shoots up a school, they need help. But we don't need help. You know what I mean? Like it's just systematic too. It's very, very frustrating.
You can get they say you can get a gun in the hood quicker than you can get a tomato. And it's not an even playing field. Shout out to Steve O'Brien. I saw him just chime in, and he said, there is no black on black crime. It's just crime, and it's systematic. And you hit another great comment. It's like, we got to get the right people in office. We got to get the right people in those legislative positions in our communities to help put the right people on the police force, to hold the mayor and the people that are in charge of those budgets accountable. And it takes conversations like this, man, to inspire the youth.
Yeah, maybe when I start talking, because there's a lot. Listen, man, there is a lot of fine police officers out there. There are a lot of them. I work with a lot of them who are in the community. They're serving their community really well. Maybe when we start talking to the PAL and stuff, we start to say to them, do you have a criminal justice course that you can teach younger kids so they can understand the power of the system? And then when they get a little bit older, they can also apply to be detectives and attorneys and things like that, or people who fight as advocates. Maybe I should try to get some courses like that for our people. And it doesn't mean, and listen, the poor white community is screwed up too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, poor is poor. When you don't have an education, everything else starts to fall by the wayside, right? You don't take care of your body nutrition wise. You don't take care of your education. You don't take care of your family. So there's a lot of things that we can do. But maybe when I start talking to all the police organizations, we start to try to find out some ways to give kids the understanding of what so many people probably watching here know, the law, and how to progress, and how to be more than a sanitation worker. And nothing wrong with a sanitation worker. I'm just saying how you can be a cop, because you know what, a lot of kids, when they in our music, and a lot of things, you're whack if you're a cop.
Exactly.
You're a sellout. How dare you? No, we got to change that shit to be like, no, you're protecting people. You're a fly. A lot of cats are depending on you. That's what we got to try to start that narrative. But man, we can talk forever. We can talk forever now.